change that, but it becomes a marker for the
We
next time.
paid off our landlord's property in the 6 years. We literally calculated, holy crap, this is what we paid him for 6 years because we got comfortable. We just
Right.
was in the motion. And it was like, holy crap.
That's
So
like the renter that you lived inside of this joke. So that's the renter that goes to the landlord after renting for 6 years and says, "I would love to buy this property," and the landlord says, "Again?"
exactly.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We are so blessed to have our presenters this morning, Jason and Racquel Bell. They are awesome power couple who are going to teach us how to generate generational wealth through real estate. And they have an awesome testimony. I got a preview of the lesson yesterday with Racquel, and I was like about to burst. Like I couldn't wait until today to hear the rest of their story. I just want to brag on them a little bit because I'm so proud of what they've been able to accomplish. They're a young couple in their early 40s, and both of them are at the top of their game. Jason is a builder for Perry Homes, and he's the #1 builder in his division. He's had oversight for the Firethorn community out here near Acadia and Fulshire area, as well as the Lakes of Bellaterra. And he is consistently ranked in the top 3 builders for Perry Homes for the state of Texas. So he is crushing the game. And then my sister Racquel is also crushing the game. About 7 years ago, she made a career transition. So 7 years ago, she was actually a special ed teacher and decided that she wanted to switch gears and become a realtor. And within those 7 years, she has developed her business to the point where she is in the top 1% of realtors in the entire state of Texas. And at her brokerage, she works for Keller Williams brokerage. She is #1 out of about 400 realtors at that brokerage. So that is a great accomplishment in, just being introduced to the real estate industry over the past 7 years. So I really wanted them to present to us because I think they have a lot of knowledge to share. They have an awesome testimony, especially as to how they were able to turn their finances around from having a negative net worth to becoming wealthy over the course of just 2 years. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friends Racquel and Jason to share their testimony.
That was a lot. First, we love you guys and thank you guys so much for allowing us to speak. We adore you guys and admire you guys. We love y'all so much. And we really appreciate what you guys are doing for the body of Christ. Jason is my quiet one. He's the one. So today, before we get into the meat of everything, I just wanted to quickly say something that's on my heart and something that I think that is one of the reasons why God has blessed us, which is understanding what the true benefits of wisdom, godly wisdom is, according to his word. And what I have written down is walking in wisdom helps us to make the right choices for our lives and protect us, according to Proverbs 21:11-16, 29:8. It equips us to handle difficult situations and relationships. Wisdom also helps us to work smarter, not harder, according to Ecclesiastes 10:10. Those who have God's wisdom it will definitely show up in their lives and the way that they live. Solomon is the perfect example of seeking God's wisdom. Solomon was called by God to do a big job at a young age, and Solomon knew he needed help in knowing how to be a good king to take good care of the kingdom. Solomon have asked God for, Solomon could have asked God for money or material possessions, but instead he asked God for wisdom. The fact that Solomon asked not just for knowledge, but insight on how to apply the knowledge effectively, granted Solomon things like riches, wealth, and honor, according to the word of God. So the Bible says, for wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. Proverbs 8 and 11. Last thing, wisdom is the first and highest gift of the Holy Spirit, because it is the perfection of faith. Through wisdom, we come to value properly those things which we believe through faith. So wisdom is one of the things that Jason and I always seek. A little bit of backstory is Jason and I got married when we were really young. I was 23 and you were 21. So
Wow.
yeah, we were very young, and
Bless you.
and it was so funny. We actually just ran into our college counselor at an event 2 weeks ago, and we didn't recognize her, but she recognized us. And she was like, "Oh my God!" Like she remembered when he proposed. It was awesome. So anyway, Jason and I got into real estate really early on. We had our first property, our house at that time at 21. We didn't have a honeymoon. Our honeymoon was our house. So
Smart.
Yeah, I like it.
That's where it went.
yeah. It was funny because not really funny, but it was amazing that, while our other friends were out here having fun and having a good time, we were just very focused on, I guess, our future. We didn't really see it at the time. I was a special needs, at that time, I was a CPS worker. I was an investigator, and Jason worked at the post office, and then I shifted over to being a special needs teacher. Within that time, within a year, I think we had 2 investment properties. One thing that people, I think about Jason and I is that we have had life perfect. Like everything has been perfect, no trials, no tribulations. That's not true. When the market crashed, we crashed with it. And we took some advice from a dear friend of ours, and we liquidated a lot of our assets at that time. So at the age of 23 and 21, we had a positive net worth of $35,000, which that's good for a 21-year-old. We met with the financial planner, and he was like, "Wow, y'all are doing great." But then when we liquidated everything, we went into a negative. And at that time, you would think it's devastation. You just got rid of all of your properties. You're now downsizing, because we had a huge home in Firethorn at the time. And Jason and I just took it and knew that this was not the last day for God for our lives. So it's just, a stepping stone. Do you want to add anything?
And I think with that, obviously going from a slight positive to a negative, people think, well, how was that possible? Well, that means that we sold all those houses for less than what we owed that we still had to take care of. So that's how you go negative.
Even though the debt was forgiven, we wanted to do whatever we could, because according to the Bible, you always want to make sure you pay off those debts, no matter if they're forgiven or not. And we had a great relationship with those creditors.
Talk about, let's unpack this a little bit, because that's a lot of information. Yeah, it's dense. This is dense, and it's real world information. Let's go all the way back to wisdom, because I think this is going to be Racquel and Jason. I'm getting the sense this is going to be the mega theme of this talk today. So, and it's not only wisdom. When you read that Bible verse, it says in the principal thing. So when it talks about knowledge, rather, it talks about knowledge, and it says, but the principal thing, as you said, is getting understanding.
Yeah.
So what I'm loving about you're natural teachers. You're breaking down what you're saying so that we can have understanding. So it's one thing to say, okay, we need to get investment properties. I mean, yeah, okay, that's knowledge. that's a known thing that investment property, that real estate is a path to wealth for most people. But what you're talking about is the understanding of it. Listen, there's risks involved. There's ups and downs, just like with any investment. And so around the bubble of 2008, I want to chronicle it to make it more real.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Around 2008, when we've all been told that, they're not making any more, invest in real estate. And it almost gives us this false perception that there's no risk involved with investment. Well, there is risk involved, and you ran smack dab in the middle of that risk. Talk about how that fashioned a new understanding for you as it related to investing in properties.
I think in the beginning, you just find out, hey, this is a good thing to do. Our parents had done it, and it's a good avenue. You don't really realize the work, the research, the time, the effort that you have to put in to gain those little intricacies about the market and about evaluating property and how to forecast what it's going to do when you do XYZ to the property, as far as update it, rehab it, or even rent it out. Figuring out who's going to do the small maintenance items. At that time, we were very young, and I was like, all right, I'll just fix them as I go along. Not what you want to be doing. So I think as a younger couple trying to understand, and we knew early that real estate would be a part of our lives because both of us were intrigued by the industry and understood that
there was value there.
Yeah, there was so much value for us because there was a interest. I tell people there are other avenues that we can take now that can produce the same or maybe even better results, but it lacks the ability to keep us interested. So because we don't have an interest in it, it doesn't pull us to study more literature about those topics. And I think we are very leery about just turning over, quote unquote, the bank account to someone else to manage.
Yeah.
We believe that, you should be the steward over what you've been blessed with. So real estate is really what we know, and it's become both of our main streams of income. So that's where we pursue most of our wealth building.
So I think too, like if I go back to Jason and Racquel back in 2008, one thing I feel that God showed us is to really understand the properties better. Our first investment property, we just kind of fell in. We were driving one day and an agent herself was selling her own property. And so we had more trust in the agent than really walking through the process of doing our due diligence. And after we purchased the home and started rehabbing it and talking to some of the neighbors, we found out that this lady did not disclose nothing about the house. Like the fact that it flooded multiple times. And that's a big real estate violation, no as a realtor, especially when you're selling your own property. Knowing what I know now, I'm like, Lord, she was definitely protected by grace because we didn't know at the time. We didn't know what we didn't know. So over that time, I believe God just the Bible talks about that he gives you favor before finances, and favor came from, different avenues of wisdom. We met a great mentor of ours, which is Matt Schoenberg. He's one of the biggest State Farm agents who gave Jason a book to read about growing income and looking at income differently. And he was young. He was within our age bracket. So it's very easy for us to get with him. And then also another dear friend of ours, Courtney Rose. So God just started putting these people around us to help pour in knowledge on what are better investments, how we can obtain. And I think if we went back to it, we would probably hold those properties and not sell them. Because you do have ups and downs in a real estate, but you have to be financially positioned to hold them in the downturn.
Agreed.
So yesterday during our pre-talk, Racquel, you were talking about the importance of passive income.
Oh, yes.
Can you,
Favorite
can you
topic.
speak more about that? Define passive income and talk about why it's so important.
So, I think passive income is so important because we have kingdom business to do, guys. And I don't know about you guys. Kingdom business is a full-time job. You got to have time for it. And one way to free up your time is to actually have passive income. You can grow avenues of passive income different ways. Some of the ways that Jason and I have grown our passive income was through our personal homes. Stop renting and purchasing our own home. Carlos, you and Yvonne, y'all know about this. You guys have grown y'all net worth because y'all are debt free. So that's amazing.
Right. Praise
Yay!
Praise the Lord.
You guys are like gold mines to the bank. You can go to them and say, yes, I want to do this. And they're like, cha-ching, because we got a great asset over here. The second thing is through whole life. Jason and I invested in whole life very early on. And that's a subject people don't like to talk about because it deals with whole life insurance and you think about death. But a lot of people don't realize that it's a great way to grow your wealth, dump money into it so you're not paying taxes on it or the tax implications, because if you have it come out of your paycheck, it comes out before your taxes. So it reduces your tax liability, and it's an avenue that you can borrow against yourself. And you pay very little interest. So right now with interest rates going up, a lot of people will go to their whole life policies and they will pull money out to invest in other properties and pay themselves back. I'm sorry, something going on? I'm sorry. Can y'all
People
hear
are joining. People are joining. Just keep talking.
Perfect.
You know how we do.
So those are two avenues. Other avenues that you can do it is through whole properties, rental properties, right? That's your mailbox money that realtors always talk about, where you can go out here and you can get a duplex, live on one side, rent out the other, and make some great income. Airbnbs are really, really great opportunities. They are turning anywhere from 50 to 75% more of a return than your regular whole properties. And right now with inflation, people are coming up with ways to vacation on a budget and still feel like they're having a great vacation. So those Airbnbs are fantastic. Syndications is something that Jason and I recently learned about 2 years ago. We have not tackled syndications, and syndications is where you get a larger real estate property that is, let's say, a townhome community or a apartment community, and you have a major developer that's going to come in and actually renovate the properties, and he's looking for cash to put up some as reserves. So he goes to certain investors, and you can invest as minimum as $5,000 to 25 or however much, 25,000 plus. There are some syndications even around Airbnbs, and they promise you a return, a quarterly return, and they promise you within 1 year to 3 years that you will get all of your money back, plus about a 20% cap rate of return to you. So it's a great opportunity because it's growing your cash faster than a stock market. Also, you have developments. If you decide, hey, I have the credit. So you don't have to have the money, guys. Jason and I went into a partnership where we were like, look, we're going to be the jockey. That's what they call. That's the person who's on the ground doing the physical work of building, developing, marketing it. While, yes, we have the credit, but we utilize the credit in favor of another person and the cash from another friend, and we were the jockeys. So it's limitless. It's just to what we feel in our hearts that we want to do. You were looking. You had something to say?
No. I was just going to add that my dad used to always say there's more than one way to skin a cat. And
he country, y'all.
And so I think people get caught up on what they don't have a lot of times, versus what they do have and what they can bring to the table to people. And one thing Racquel and I have always been good at, we're hard workers.
Yeah.
So, we've been able to go to people, hey, we want to learn this. We may not, this is, years ago, we didn't necessarily have the money, we didn't have the credit to do it, but we're going to outwork anybody to help, if you help us learn. And so as we've grown, we've been able to get into positions and get a seat at the table by willing to do, some of the dirty work that people just don't want to do. And when I say dirty, not literally dirty, but, work is dirty for some people. It's just a dirty word. And we both were blessed to come from families that believed in hard work. So we've been able to put in sweat equity to gain a percentage in certain deals to get on a inside level, I guess you would say.
So for us, our first thing in the morning is always communing with God, having that one-on-one time, right? And then we always ask him for wisdom for our day. Cover our day, Lord. Open up opportunities, position us right. Help us to listen, because it's key to listen to him. And I'm saying this because of a situation Jason and I was recently put in where God had gave me insight. Like, I tested that Solomon theory. I was like, Lord, I want wisdom. I don't want none of this, blah, 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 blah. And so literally, this is about the wealth building conference. So we were challenged to push ourselves and push our mindset and our thinking to write down a $50 million net wealth plan of how we can obtain it and get there within a certain time. They challenged us for 30 years. And I was like, oh, we can get here much faster than that. Yep. Because of some avenues that God has blessed Jason and I to be in. But as I was making the plan, I didn't read the book. And God had already showed me opportunities of how to do this. And then when I went to read the book, because they say you got to read the book before you come to the class, literally everything God had showed me was in that book.
Wow. And so let me break right there. So what I'm sensing is when are you gonna write the book? Like, and I got that sense early because Amen. I am gifted with the gift of teaching. So I recognize the gift of teaching, and it's all on both of you. So whatever I can do to help that, because it's on you. The book, the reason why everything that was in that book writer's book resonated with you is because it's all from the same source, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to encourage you to, just like you put down the plan, if you haven't already, put down a plan for this book, because you have an easy way of dealing with subjects that can be difficult. Now, you said it, Jason, the dirty work. And when you say dirty work, I get the sense you're not necessarily meaning, you got to roll up your sleeves and carry a 2x4. You're talking about the dirty work of shaking hands with potential investors, of the dirty work of showing someone a way where, okay, you may not have the money here, but I know XYZ company or XYZ investor that does have the money. If you two can get together, then we may be able to make a deal. That's work that some folks don't want to do.
Correct.
And as this is becoming easier and easier, because I'm taking notes, everything you said by way of passive income, it got progressively more complex. Not undoable, but just more complex. When you start at, a duplex rental income, and then you end at a syndicate, this is multiple times complex. But the way you explained it was very easy, because you have experiential knowledge. You've tackled the beast of fear, and you're able to now explain it in a way that is easy for us to digest. And I just appreciate that about you.
Anytime. I think it's important too to, like Carlos, you were like that sweat equity. What does that look like? That rolling up the sleeves and shaking hands, that's me. Jason don't like that part of it. I can get out there with the vendors and I can have them do anything I ask them to do.
Like family.
Now, I think it's critical in knowing what your gifts are. And Jason has a amazing gift that God has always put him in leadership. Like literally when he started at the post office, Jason went from working 2 weeks to having a management position. And that's pretty impressive, right? And so
Yes,
he
it is.
people. And so Jason on these development opportunities that we have been given are like, for example, one way that we built our wealth is building this home that we're building right now that I was telling Yvonne about. And we started building it 2 years ago. I was not tracking my net wealth at that time. I was blessed to start working with a business coach who was definitely different. She was not, okay, I want to teach you how to grow your business here. I want to teach you the understanding of money. Because if I can teach you how to understand money and process, you're going to always do well in this industry. And so she really started having me to track my net wealth. And she just told me to write down a plan. It always starts with the goal, and the Bible talks about write down your plan. Like say your vow, but you got to write it down and make it plain, right?
Right, that's
So
right.
we made it plain, and then I started thinking about, okay, what if, like, how much is it going to cost us of being in this unique position where Jason built houses, taking some of that the builder cost off because we're building it ourselves. That positioned us to grow our net wealth right there. At the time, it was by about $500,000. Now it's at almost $1 million because of where the market has shifted. So I was telling Yvonne yesterday, I saw the opportunity, Carlos. I was like, Jason, let's sell the house, take the equity out, and do some of these developments that God had put in our heart to do. Because about 5 years ago, we were driving through Old Katy, and we saw this new development called August Lakes. And I said, Jason, stop there, drive through. And we drove through, and as we were leaving out, God told me that was our legacy, that is what we were going to be doing. And it stopped. I started shaking, and I turned to Jason. He was like, what? Like, what did you hear? You heard that. And I'm like, no, Jason, like God says, this is our, like, this is what we're going to do. Like, you're going to get out here, you're going to teach the boys. This is going to be our family legacy. Yeah. And Jason takes a deep breath because he's like, okay, Racquel. And he didn't know, like, now we're in that opportunity where people are like, hey, Jason's the builder and he has all the connections. We have the cash. So what can you do? How can we resource together?
Sure.
So we were able to take our personal home and being pushed into buying some whole property again. God pushed us last year to buy whole property and a few other opportunities with our whole life. And we grew our wealth at that time by a little bit over 2 million. So during the pandemic, when everybody freaked out and was like, oh my God, jobs are being lost, blah, 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 God accelerated us. And he accelerated us with knowledge. He accelerated us. And there's sometimes limited beliefs. And I would tell you, I'm one of them. You know, Carlos, being from New Orleans, it's always like, it's that crab mentality where it's like, no, I don't want you to know. But everything that you desire, if you seek it, God will put it in front of your face. Either through book or article or person, he will do it for you.
So let's deal with it. Let's deal with, thank you so much for validating a few thoughts, right? One is God is still amazing. God will put the vision upon you and in a surprising way in a place that maybe you didn't even think about. Let's talk geographically. So you said Old Katy, and people may not, I just want to set everyone geographically because everyone's not from here. So Katy is the western suburb of Houston. It is the immediate western suburb of Houston. And Katy alone, I don't know, Racquel, what are we at, about a 500,000 population? I mean, it's not a small suburb.
No, it's not. It was small, but it has boomed in the last 15 years.
In the last 15 years, to the point where Katy has actually more population than our hometown, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Old Katy, New Katy. So Katy is bisected by I-10, and out here we call it the Katy Freeway. Everything south kind of technically, rule of thumb, everything south of I-10 is New Katy. Everything north of I-10 is Old Katy. So you'll kind of start seeing that Anywhere USA type of feel. You'll see diners that's been there for years, and you'll see the train depot that's one of the icons of the city. That typically, for a young person starting out, that would not typically be the area where a young couple would be looking to invest right now. That tends to be older and blue collar folks that have been living in Katy generationally. So this is kind of the surprising part that Jason and Racquel are trying to get across, in that the vision came in an area that you wouldn't think it. You would think it would have been in New Katy, but it actually came in Old Katy. Is that summing it up?
That really is. I think God has always spoke to us in unusual situations. So yes, because at that time, I would have never wanted to live on this side. It's very rural. And even where we're building our house, peep this, back in 2000, when did we move in? 2004? 2005 was when we moved in Firethorn? I think 2005, 2006. We're driving because we had purchased a home in Firethorn. And Jason always liked to take these long road trips just to figure out
15
everything.
minutes is a long road trip, guys. I want to point that out. Let's just go drive down this road.
When you're driving and seeing nothing but cows and cattle and huge water moccasins crossing the street, I'm sorry. That's not a... So anyway, Jason drives and we get to where we live now, guys. This was back in 2006. We're now in 2022. And Jason says, you know what? We should buy land over here. God gives you your spouses. And I was telling this to Yvonne yesterday. Like sometimes we hear what they say, but we don't really hear what God is saying through them. And I turned to Jason and I was like, look, you from the country, I'm from the city. I ain't doing this. I need some neighbors. I need to reach out and touch somebody. I can't touch nobody out here. And Carlos will tell you, we flee. People in New Orleans, we flee from these rural communities because of what they can do sometimes. And then you can't find us for a while. So anyway, at the time, the land was $20,000 an acre.
Wow.
And the developer in this community went out of business, bankrupt, and sold them for even cheaper. Jason saw the vision then. I didn't, because I was just too consumed of what I thought in my head it should be. So fast forward to 2020 when we had an opportunity, because land in this neighborhood was very hard to get. So being the creative person that I am, I went and I door knocked every person who had land there. I looked up where they personally lived and I went and knocked on their door and was like, we want to buy your lot. And Jason thought I was crazy, but we met this amazing couple that literally charged us $30,000 more for the property, because his neighbor was so great. He was like, I'm sorry, I got to charge you a premium because my neighbor's so good. So the lots went from $25,000 to $220,000 in a span of 12 years.
Less than, yeah.
Right.
Come on.
And
right.
Yes.
That's huge.
And let's say it again. So there was an admission. There's a theme here amongst couples. And we have to get it. And it flows both ways, quite frankly. Right now, the visionary, because I just want to make this clear, the vision doesn't always come just to the husband. I just want to be clear on that. The vision doesn't always just come to the husband. The vision can come to the wife too. God can plant the vision in whomever he wants to. He's sovereign. The vision at this appointed time, back to this, we're in the Bible, y'all. My good sister Racquel is a Bible scholar. She's in Habakkuk. we're in the second chapter of Habakkuk. Write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
The vision during this appointed time of 06 came to my brother Jason. He shared the vision and made it plain with his wife. It can't get any more plain. we should buy land here now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, hey, I see, hey, Tanya, is that clear?
It was clear.
Tanya, Dr. Tanya, is that a clear vision? I just want to bring some other folks in here. Talk to me.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty clear, right? Yeah, so, but because of, I'm going to say fear. Was it fear?
To say it was fear. It was fear.
Fear kills more visions. So it wasn't even anything tangible. It wasn't even anything tangible. Now, I'm not negating fear has some reality to it, but it doesn't have as much reality as an acre of land.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Come on, y'all. Hey, who else? Tammy, talk to me. Is an acre of land tangible? Going once, going twice. Hey, Val,
I have to come off of mute. I'm sorry. Good morning, y'all. Very tangible.
That's about as tangible as it gets. An acre of dirt. And my good sister, who is a visionary herself, she didn't get it then.
Mm-mm.
There was another talk that happened between a couple where there are some visionary things happening by way of getting some debts paid off that we talked about a couple weeks ago with Jamal and Ashley, and there was some not syncing up of the vision then too. I want us to beware.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the wealth building process. We're in the legacy building process, and we have to be. You keep hearing my sister very passionately. She keeps saying legacy, wealth, legacy, wealth, legacy, wealth. There is little place for fear in that. The more you start talking about vision, legacy, wealth, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, it tamps down that fear. And then you have my sister here, Racquel, you have Jason. I'm sure they'll give you access to however to get in touch with them. They've done it already, so you don't have to, they have already blazed that path.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that'll help tamp down your fear too. Y'all, why am I so passionate? We're losing, y'all. We're losing at the wealth game. We're sitting here right now at net worth of the average Black family is $1,700. Average net worth of the single Black woman is $5. And we have a couple on here that's multimillionaires, and I want us to have the necessary energy towards a young couple that has, they're trailblazing, y'all, and we can do it too. Mm-hmm. So that's this energy, that's this passion that you're hearing from me now. Yeah. Talk to me, Racquel. Talk to me, Jason.
No, it's just Jason and I, we sit down and we, I never go into my job. Like when I sit down with somebody and talk about, hey, they want to list their house, we're always talking about what are their goals? How can we help them achieve wealth in different ways? People, I have learned just being in the position where I am, people will sell their home and they will invest in all syndications just so that they don't have to pay capital gains tax. I mean, there's so many different things that you can take and invest at, Jason. It just blew our minds. And this is legit stuff that's according to the word of God. I mean, it is nothing about, hey, you're trying to sneak it. No, this is written out. It's the law of the land. You can do it. Fast forward to a duplex opportunity. Jason was reading a book called Tax-Free Wealth. I am not a reader, so I have literally loved Audible, where Jason will read a book in 2 days, even while working the amount of hours he worked. I will put that sucker on Audible, and then we talk about it. And so we were looking at an opportunity of building a duplex. And Jason was like, hey, let's look at this pocket over here because we can get an additional tax credit because it's in a revitalization area. And it's just, the knowledge is there. Mm-hmm. It's just being in the right position and knowing what your goal and purpose that God has for you.
I want to go back to, because So I know my class. So most of us are at that stage where we may be thinking about our first investment property. There's some that's further along, but for the most part, in the room here today, I'm looking at names. So I just want to make sure before we get too late that we talk about what do we do for our first investment property? What does that look like? And what does it look like in Houston? Because this is your home turf.
So right now, because it always starts off with a consultation, right? Because buying a whole property may not be dependent upon your wealth goal. Let's say you want to accelerate it. So first it starts with the wealth goal of, hey, I want to at least do this. But I always recommend investing in you. You had something to say, Carlos? I see
Yeah,
it.
because you're throwing terms. So when you say hold property, break that down for us. What's the difference between a whole property and a flip? We need to make a contrast there.
So a hold property is a property that you purchase and you want to rent it out long term, not a year. It's at least 3 years plus. You want to hold, and you're going to collect mailbox money is what it's called. A flip is where you take it, you renovate it, and you put it back on the market. And you do have to flip that money into another property pretty quickly, or you do have to pay capital gains taxes on it. So there are different strategies between the two. That's why I always said it starts off with a consultation to get an understanding of your wealth goal for your life. That way we can see which avenue is best. Some people use flip properties when they have debt and they want to accelerate debt and build cash so that they can buy bigger and more hold properties, or rental properties is what we call them in normal language.
One thing I would add to that is, I think people always begin to think about that next house. Your first investment or your primary investment is your personal home.
Yeah, that's why he said investment.
You should be, that is, as we've bought, we've sold, we've rented, we rented for 6 years looking for, in our minds, the perfect home, which we found does not exist.
Thank you for that.
Custom home, and it's still not perfect. I mean, let's change that. We way too far in the process to change that, but it becomes a marker for the next time. We
paid off our landlord's property in the 6 years we lived there, because I was able as a realtor to go back and look up what he actually paid for it. And then I literally calculated, holy crap, this is what we paid him for 6 years, because we got comfortable. We just was in the motion. And it was like, holy crap.
That's like the renter that you lived inside of this joke. So that's the renter that goes to the landlord after renting for 6 years and says, I would love to buy this property. And the landlord says, again?
Exactly.
Hey, Racquel, talk to us, if you will, about the new opportunity that you guys are working on in Lafayette, Louisiana.
It's exciting. Well, we have two that we're working on. Do you want to talk about the one with your dad first, or you want me to talk about the mobile home?
No, it's fine. In I guess, in the process of, I used to be very closed-minded in the sense of I like to physically be able to touch what we're investing in. So I would only want to look here or close to us. I don't want to be too far away. I need to be able to get there in 15, 20 minutes, just in case something happens. And by doing so, we were missing opportunities to invest in markets that we really knew, which was back home in Louisiana. So right now we are I'm from Louisiana. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Thibodeau. It's where Nicholls State University is. And my dad has some property there. And so we were just talking one day about, hey, Dad, I think me and Racquel are going to build some duplexes.
No, that's not what happened. Your dad came down here and saw the house. See, he's missing that piece. Your dad came down here to physically see what you were building.
And so basically he was like, well,
house now?
What's that?
The house that you're building now?
Yes.
He sat inside the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he was like, well, Jason, I have some land in Thibodeau. Why don't you build some duplexes on it and you don't have to pay anything?
Beautiful.
So the beauty of it is that this land is already paid off, right? So a bank will come in and give us a construction loan to build these at a very, very low interest rate. And so it's pretty much like you have to take this opportunity because the land is free and clear. So you're using that equity in the land to build here, and the return of passive income is massive over there because his dad owns the land free and clear. Another opportunity that presented itself was, do I have time to tell a joke behind it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I told you yesterday. Okay, so Jason dad loves RVs, and he always picks up the kids every summer, and he takes them camping. And so Jason and I recently went down to pick them up, and it was at Coshada, and we had to stay in the chalets, which is their little mobile homes. I will be honest, I felt like I was on Friday the 13th. I thought Jason was gonna come in there and take us. But as we were leaving, Jason turns to me and was like, you know what, Racquel? We should buy like a mobile home park. The vision's coming. And literally, I was like, Jason, we are building luxury properties. The return on it is massive. What are you talking about? I was like, no. Fast forward, not even 2 weeks. I'm sitting at a conference, and this is where I tell you, when you ask God, he will position you and put you places. I am just communing at lunch at a conference with a good referral partner of mine that lives in Lafayette, and he's just asking me wisdom about his assistant and shows me a list and it says, look, she didn't even input it right. And it's 8.5 acres, $150,000. And my wheels start spinning because as I'm blowing up the pictures, because I'm like Inspector Gadget, I'm looking at everything. I see that there's a mobile home development being built right next door to it. His idea pops up. So I called Jason. I'm like, there might be this opportunity of the vision you had. And literally, I'm writing it down because my vision was we were going to go ahead and use the company and just put mobile homes on it, right? Subdivide it and put mobile homes on it. The return on it would have been massive. And Jason and I don't have to do anything other than secure the construction loan, subdivide it. And I'm like, Jason, it's easy peasy. We don't have to be there that much. Your dad's down the street. But then Jason says, how about we subdivide it and do rent slips? Now, if a lot of people don't know what rent slips is, it's very common in Louisiana that people own their own mobile homes, but they don't own their land. So they will pay you rent to park their mobile home. So I do research and I start searching, and I call Jason's mom, who says, oh, look up this development. And boom, on there was their plan of 85 units. So I like things pretty. I said, I don't want 85. I want about 40. So I do the numbers on it, and passively, that will literally retire Jason times 2 if we wanted to. So it'll take his income times 2 per year if we did that development. I called my insurance guy, which is Matt Schomburg. We always run ideas by him. So I'm running the numbers. And he's like, holy camole. He's like, I want in. And I'm like, no. I'm going to do this first. And then I'll hook you up. He was like,
right.
He calls us every other day. He's our accountability partner. He's like, hey, when you're getting this off the ground, it's too great. And he had another idea of building, Matt did, where it's like, Racquel, why don't y'all just build or put the mobile homes on it and rent them? Like, it's even a more massive passive wealth. But I say that's great, but right now where we are with just trying to get passive wealth so we can breathe, I think this is a better avenue. And then we'll go to that, and it doesn't take as much liquid cash, us having to get into syndications and partnering with other people. It's something that Jason and I can easily do. And if we sell this big house now, we could do it.
So let's talk about the feeling aspect, right? Because I heard fear again. So he brought to you, in this case, he brought to you this vision of the mobile homes, and you were like, yuck.
Yep. Come on now, Carlos. Back in Louisiana, you didn't want to live in no doggone mobile home. Come on now, keep it real.
So I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it very real. So about 20 years ago, I had just finished reading, and it's like basis wealth reading. Everyone should read this particular book as a basis, which is The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
The Millionaire Next Door. And in that book, it talked about all of these, like, Jason, all of these dirty ways that people made their millions. Oh man, we lost them. Oh. They'll sign back in.
Yeah.
How y'all liking the program so far?
Great presentation.
Great. Here we come.
I'm sorry, guys. It kicked us off. I think it was getting too juicy.
I know. How can I get y'all on Spotlight now? No,
Then you do something in the lower corner.
Yeah, I'm on it now. Now like Spotlight for everyone. I think I want a Spotlight. All right.
That's better. Yep.
Is that it? Okay. So what I'm getting to the juice of it. So this is real. We real here. You know that, Racquel.
Yep.
So I was driving around. A lot of this resonates with us as a couple, and probably with multiple couples on here. Yvonne and I, we were in Detroit then. We're driving around Detroit, and I'm like, Yvonne, we should buy a mobile home. We should buy a mobile home park.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you say? Yup. Now, I want to keep it for real, because at that time, because what is it, like a dream without a plan is just a dream, right? So it was just a dream then. Like, we ought to do it. I didn't know how to do it though. Now though, what I would love for all of us to deal with, because I keep hearing this no amongst the couples when one gets a vision, the other one's like knee-jerking no. I want us to start saying, help me to see what you see.
That's great.
This person next loves me. Yvonne, help me to see what you see. Carlos, help me to see what you see. Thank you, dear. I got the king of that on, which is Zion. Zion's like, that was pretty smart, Dad. Like, where do you think you got it from? I'm messing with Zion. But I think instead of like shutting down, because we go long if we tell the story about Yvonne and her dream crushing. But let's not be dream crushers. Let's just say, help me to see what you see, because these are a lot of opportunities, and God is merciful and gracious. He'll keep sending us these opportunities, but you hear angst from the Bells and opportunities that, boy, if we would have did that, and it kind of, we give each other grace, but it kind of sits in the pit of your gut so that you don't do that mistake again. So exactly. I want us to say again, help me to see what you see.
As you can see, it didn't take me 12 years to catch the vision. It took me 2 weeks. But I would say it was like God had to like totally put it in my face, and it was just awesome. And it's the biggest blessing ever. And I think Jason has some knee jerks too with me, but he typically always says, okay, I know Racquel, like God has given her something. So he does come on a ride with me a little bit easier, I would say.
So you talked about it a little bit before, and this is the Lighthouse Marriage Ministry. So let's talk about some ministry part. What is your plan as far as, let me ask it, because I know you guys are doing it now. So let's talk about your give back now, and then let's talk about your give back vision in the future. Because knowing what I know about you all, alongside of your wealth is a give back vision that allows more people to get wealthy as well. Talk about that now, and then what you see in the future.
Yeah, I think God knew Jason and I are like some of the biggest givers. I was talking to Yvonne about this yesterday. It could be to our detriment sometimes. And I think our biggest focus has been, God, how do we get our family right? Like, how do we position our family? Making sure whatever we do is with family in mind and generation. Because if there's a need, like Jason's dad after COVID lost his memory and he could not go back to work and had to retire. And that's hard on a worker because Jason gets his hard work ethic from his father. It's just go, 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 go. And so to have to retire and not have as much income was humbling. And so for us, we were like, well, how, like literally when that mobile home came into fruition, it was like, all right, well, we can put him on this and we can put your mom on this, and then we can put your stepdad on this. And it just opened up opportunities for the family as well as just blessing the kingdom. I know that Jason and I, for his kingdom opportunities, we want to do a couple of nonprofits because Jason said that I'd like to take everybody in. Tammy, I hate to put you on the spot. You're the same way, girl. Our door is a revolving door of anybody who needs help can come in. And so Jason was like, you need a nonprofit of nothing but townhomes that you can provide people housing, because
Bless you.
And we were driving when God dropped that in his spirit, where I was like, that's genius. Yes, we can do that. And then Jason can build them. And guess what? We have an amazing architect that's retiring that was like, here's 500 plans of townhomes. Which one do you want?
Wow.
So, and we just want to be that resource that wherever there's a kingdom need, we never flinch. We never even think about it because we have enough passive income and wealth that it won't even hurt us to think about it.
Bless you.
Bless you.
We like you said, we both have always been givers. We've wanted to specifically take care of our families. Even now, I think we were at a conference recently and they asked us to write down, our monthly expenses. So we know what that monthly number is. This is what it takes every single month to make everything go. Over half of what we spend per month is not on our personal family, meaning me, Racquel, and the boys. It's going to other family members and, helping them. And like I said, just basic expenses that they need to live and survive. And, it's sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's like, look, if we back off of what we're doing for everyone else, we can do this, or we can do this. But,
about a month ago, our lender told us that we needed to stop.
Oh, yeah. I mean, literally, when
we
people sit down and they look at it and they go over, it's like, what is wrong with you guys?
Like, literally.
Can you take me in too? I mean, but it's not, we don't look at it as that. We look at it as we've been blessed to be a blessing, but we also know when we have to back off and let God provide the same way he's provided for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But when it comes for us, for mom and dad, I don't know if mom and dad can ever be in a situation that we won't try to help because, they've put us in a position of where we are.
Yeah. So something that Jason and I, that God has blessed us to be able to do, his mom, we were home and we can see in her face that she was just exhausted with driving about an hour to work every day. And God dropped it in my spirit that we needed to purchase a home for her. So when some people say, why did it take y'all 2 years to build y'all's dream home? It was because we paused 6 months to be a blessing to his mom. And the opportunity that it gave her to free up time, was it was just very rewarding. And we went in and we rehabbed the house for her. I mean, she was just blown by it. And then fast forward to a year and a half later, my mom was in a situation where she needed another vehicle. My mom is very prideful, so she doesn't ever want to ask us or, be there. And God put it in our spirit that we needed to provide her with a vehicle. And it started out with a used vehicle, and we were able to bless her with a new vehicle that she has never had a physical new vehicle before. And we have never flinched, where it has never been a financial strain on us to be able to help them. And it's a blessing to be there.
Bless you. Bless you.
That's awesome.
All right. So we're up against it.
We need another meeting, Carlos.
I know, it's beautiful.
But we want to open up the floor.
Let's open up the floor. We have good participation.
Yeah.
And we have some teenagers in the room too. So anyone have any questions? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Jason and Racquel, this has been beautiful. What questions do you have?
I have a question off bat. I know you guys are both avid readers. So, the first question I ask anyone is, I'm trying to gain knowledge myself. What books do you recommend?
Great question. I definitely recommend The Real Estate Investor. That's by Keller Williams. It's the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. It's a blue and white book. It's a great book. It has a lot of old principles, but I truly feel that you do not have to reinvent the wheel. History repeats itself, and we have historical data that shows everything in that book is still prevalent in this day and time on investing. The next one will be The Lifestyle Investor. That was a big book that changed our thinking on generational wealth and passive income. Because for us, we initially thought, we'll have mailbox money, but we never thought, how would life change if we had enough passive income that it replaced our income? And we chose to get up every morning and work. Like, how could it open up our time with God and spending more time with Him and doing more community and civic opportunities? And so that book changed our life. And then Tax-Free Wealth was another great one, because you have to know how to maneuver and have a great financial team behind you. So a great financial team is a great CPA and a great financial planner. We have some people that we have partnered with, and we interview people. We just don't hire the first person, because you have to have the same thinking mechanisms and am I saying that right? Yeah. Same thought process. So those are our 3 favorite top books right now.
Mm-hmm. And there's another local one that I tell people about. You're gonna have to pardon the title of the book, but it was a guy who was in construction.
My Chad's book.
And made hundreds of thousands of dollars
and made mistakes.
And you work for a private company and they let you go, and it's like, what do you do now? And starting over, because we all make mistakes. We all, can miss the mark and have to be put on our knees by God or whatever situation. But pardon the name of the book, but it's called Get SHIT Done.
Yeah.
And he's here, he's local.
And he's the one he's our lender.
Yes,
on our construction.
so he owns a mortgage company.
Yeah.
But I tell you,
he owns a mortgage company, multiple real estate holdings. I mean, he has
it can happen to anyone.
And he's rebuilt all of this in the last, I think, 7 years. It has not been anything that has been over years. When the market crashed, his business crashed too. And he was like, I can sit here and wallow, or I can make my own life. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, where people are like, oh, things are changing. I just have to hustle harder, and I continue to produce at this level. So it's a great book, and it's about a hour read. It's not a long read.
It's a very easy read book. Yeah, a short plane ride, get it done.
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, family.
That's cousin Nikki from
Yes,
New
it
Orleans.
is. Hi. First of all, thank you so much to you and your husband, just for the knowledge, just for the light, the everything. Me and my husband are just getting started with our new endeavor. We decided to quit our full-time jobs. We were working both corporate America. We decided to quit our full-time jobs and become over-the-road truck drivers. So we are going a lot. We just built our house back in 2020, and the vision came to us to go into corporate leasing on our house. But the vision came, neither one of us have the knowledge. So we're just trying to see how to go about doing the corporate leasing. That's something that we are thinking about doing to come into the new year. Um,
On your
to
personal
start.
home?
Yes.
Okay. That is a great question. So every local area is different. Jason and I looked into doing that as well, in Louisiana, but New Orleans has changed a lot of regulations around that because the hotel industry felt that it was taken away from all of their income. I can definitely partner you with somebody there because from my understanding in Louisiana, it has to be a situation where you physically live in a property and you rent out some of your rooms. Are you willing to do that? That's what you were talking about?
So we're going to rent out the whole house. We're
Mhm.
not going to live in it at all.
That's what
So
I thought you were
we
meaning.
both have. So we have. It's a total of 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, but
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have one of the rooms closed off. That's where all of our personal stuff is gonna go, and that's gonna leave 3 bedrooms, and everybody is going to have their own bath. So
Mm-hmm.
and all of the beds are full beds.
Where's the
Um,
property located?
we're in Slidell.
Okay. So Slidell may have some different regulations than New Orleans because I know that that was a big major issue. But I can definitely connect you with a referral agent that I use there all the time that he can run those numbers for you. I
Okay.
know that they use, yeah, can you send that to Carlos so he can put it up? Or send it to me. I'm sorry, we were trying to get you guys the right
Yeah, there's a
picture.
couple of those books.
Apparently,
That
there's
name
a
is
couple.
popular.
It's the School of Get SHIT Done. But Nikki, we can definitely talk outside of this so I can connect you so you can put it on the proper channels and outlets and make sure that you are doing it as your local laws have said that you guys have to do it. That's a market I'm
Okay.
still learning because, girl, we were down there a couple of months ago in December trying to buy up property and do the same thing. And they were like,
And
oh, you're going to
listen,
do it? And I was like, oh my
we're
God.
actually we have actually been talking about purchasing more property in our subdivision just to continue to do this. As we are going, like, since because we're not going to be home.
Mhm.
But again, we're also learning the generational wealth and the setting up for retirement and everything like
Mhm.
that. So, but I appreciate you. You can ask Yvonne. I have been waiting for this particular day for
No
ever
worries.
since
I'm
they started.
excited.
Yes, ever since that they mentioned that this was going to happen. And when it didn't happen last Sunday, my feelings were hurt, but I'm so sorry to hear about
Sorry.
that. I heard about you had death in your family. One of you had death in your family, and I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
about
that was
that.
my mother. Thank you.
Yes, but I'm so excited.
Any other questions?
No questions. This is Tammy, but a comment. I will tell you, I can attest to um, knowing this couple and saying that it is true. They are the hardest working people that I've known in the business that they are in. And if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. So proud of you guys.
Thank you, Tam. Tammy's
Some
sitting
been-
over there on
some
some
been-
major net wealth too in her house over there. She did good. I'm not telling your business. I promise I won't.
Come on, Jared.
Thank you, Tammy.
Jared had a question too. Thanks, Tammy. Bend in so the camera can get you.
That filter.
It probably only gets like 2 people.
It's all right.
All right, but I'm Jared.
Jared.
I kind of had a question on like micro investing because I saw the Acorns app. I didn't know if it was like worth getting, but like how it rounds up your your purchases to the nearest dollar and then like invests. I don't know. That was like
So I'm going to tell you the stock market. We were at a amazing conference with Gary Keller. He is a billionaire. He created Keller Williams. So to sit underneath him was pretty impressive, and to get the knowledge that he said. Jason and I recently started heavily investing in the stock market, but we have built our wealth through real estate. However, I think that it's a great idea for a younger audience to train you on how to start saving and investing. And from the historical data, the stock market is going to do exactly like the real estate market, where you're going to have, ups, and you're going to have slopes, and then you're going to have ups. But as long as you hold your money there for at least 7+ years, you should see a great return. So anything that creates a habit where you stop seeing the money and saving it and you're investing it, we strongly support it. Our kids have Green Light is what they have. But it's a debit card because we wanted to start training them on this method as well.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you for that
goodness. He's
question.
looking at you like I told you Acorn was up.
Huh?
Yeah, giving us the look.
Who's giving? Oh, I don't know.
Jared.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Jason and Racquel? Or comments?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Brown. I just want to congratulate you on your success. I thank God for you being a power couple, and I mean, you look the part. I mean, you're such experts on everything that you're doing. And Carlos is right. You are to write a book. You need to write a book. So much wealth of knowledge and experience, and that's what it takes to do this. And like you said, Jason, it is an interest that you have to have. It's like something that a will to do it. I just asked Mr. Brown, I'm like, Mr. Brown, would we be able to go into real estate? Are you in? No. So I'm like, like you said, Carlos, are you willing to help me understand why I want
There
to
you
do
go.
it?
There you go.
Right.
It's a bit. That's right. Help me to see what you see.
Yes.
Help me to see what you see. Don't just say no. There's a reason why you said it, and it could be God breathed, so I don't want to miss it. Help me to see what you see.
Yes.
And also the generational thing, I want to be able to help, my family and extended family and, blended family. You want to be a blessing, and how ways that you can do that. And like you said, to have the passive income to match the income you will be making and still be comfortable. I mean,
Right.
we're in this earth, but we can live in heavenly on this earth.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And for not just us, for somebody else as well. So I love the idea of the nonprofit. God bless you all.
Thank you.
I love it. I enjoy it. Thank you. God bless you.
And we promise to give you guys updates because, Jason and I don't want to hold this. As we learn and as we master, we love sharing because there's opportunity for everybody in any aspect, any aspect. Yep, you got it.
That's the book.
Yeah. So just wanted the Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams, and then the Get Stuff Done book by Chad Pryor.
And I'm not just saying it because it's Gary Keller. It's a great book. Like, I have truly built my business. And it's funny when I'm put on panels and people are like, so what do you do, Racquel? How have you did it? And I was like, I just followed the plan. And here's how my plan looks. And I literally stick to the plan and don't tweak it. I just elevate it by doing a little bit more. I wanted to also make sure you guys had the Lifestyle Investor. Hold on. Because that one is a fantastic book. And if you get the Audible, which is $2 and like maybe 50 cents, the author himself talks about how he did, like he gives some snippets about what he did. And we got a chance to meet the author, and we're actually in his wealth building class right now. It's so
Is that Justin Donald?
It is. I was literally
All right.
just texting Yvonne.
All right, we got it. Got it.
And he is the coolest guy ever. I'm like, why haven't you been on Shark Tank? You know, because he's so creative. I mean, like literally, like God put him in a position to absorb and purchase Dressborn. We had no idea they were going out of business. And some of the things he put in here was amazing. And that's where he also talks about investing in mobile home parks. It's amazing.
Okay.
That's how he retired his wife from teaching, by one mobile home park investment.
Wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Early retirement. Amen. I like that.
Amen.
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 Thank you for your questions, sister, or your comments, Sister Brown. Are there any other comments or questions?
I was trying to give some other people a chance to ask something, but I have plenty.
Go ahead, Zai.
So I'm sure you guys are both aware that, the market is kind of going crazy right now. The interest rates are sky high. It's like 6-7% now for mortgage rates. So my question is, in this market, do you still think that flipping is possible or even wise, or is the only strategy really to try to find something where the cash flow works and you buy and hold it and just make sure that the rents equal or exceed the mortgage payments?
So I think this market is now transitioning into a more flipper market. Houston has always been very hard to find flip opportunities. It is not where you see a ton of flippers. You see more investors who are going to hold into those where they hold the properties. They might renovate them and then put a tenant in them for a longer period of time. So to answer your question about interest rates, interest rates are interest rates. We're actually still at a ultimate low. The highest interest rates have ever been up to is 18%. Our average interest rate was at 7.5%. Believe it or not, when Jason and I started buying houses, our first interest rate was 9%. So when we were able to lock in a rate at 7 or 6.5, we thought the gold mine, and
That's
our
right.
parents were refinancing their homes. So we have had a artificial kind of perception of interest rates being as low as they have been. But as long as you have somebody paying the rent, the interest rates doesn't matter if you're making money off of it, right? Because they're paying down that debt for you and growing your wealth, and they're absorbing that interest rate. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And going into that, right, I'm very young. I haven't bought my first home yet, and I've heard there's something that you can utilize called a First Homebuyer Act loan, right? FHA loan, where you put down 3.5% instead of like 20 or 25. The only thing, of course, you have to live in that home for at least a year. So that being said, of course, the idea of rental properties, everyone wants a multifamily home, duplex, triplex, although they're somewhat hard to find, especially now. But
hey, you just got to have the good realtor that goes and search and calls the builders she knows that's building them. Because honestly, you can get a duplex for the same price that you're going to get a single family home. Right now, there's a duplex that's for sale that I was searching for a sales rep that Jason and I work with a lot. It was at $289, and after expenses and rents, she would have still been able to make about $1,000 passive income per month. So that's $12,000 per year right there. And then you get to write off some of the depreciation and all of the good tax incentives that comes with having it. Now, it's just if you're willing to sacrifice and live in Conroe.
Well, he's in Georgia.
Oh, in Georgia, sorry. Georgia has amazing opportunities, though.
But talk about that, Zion. There was an answer within that answer, though, which is what type of realtor should I be looking for if I'm looking to do that type of duplex, live on one side, invest the other side? is there a certain, how do I clear for the best real estate agent that can help me to do that? Because it's not every agent that's able to do that.
It's not. I have some great agents that I partner with there in Atlanta. Tammy and I have a good friend, Chris, that has purchased a couple of properties with him, and he's amazing. He helped them get their Airbnb, and their Airbnb is extremely lucrative. So you might want to, that is probably somebody you would want to connect with out there that can discuss some of the opportunities to be an investor and grow your wealth. And Airbnbs are fantastic. So if you guys are okay with getting outside of your comfort zone and not having anything local, Atlanta is a hot market for Airbnbs.
Absolutely. That was what my question was leading to. I wanted to try to understand, like, what's the best way to build a strong network for real estate? I mean, of course, you can just kind of contact people out of the blue, but that may not work all the time. I mean, I'm curious what you guys have done and found as successful.
Successful as far as growing the network?
Well, a network. I'm sorry, network.
Oh, network. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I have kids in the background, so I didn't hear you. I always say just always going. So you have every community, whether it's a county. So here we have like developer meetings. They have planning meetings. Those are going to always be your great opportunities to network with people in the industry, because you're going to run into builders, construction workers, realtors, and you're going to hear everything that the city is doing, what their need is for, because they're there because they want to know, how can we build for what you need? And that way you can, having that connection with the city and building what they want, yours will be approved versus somebody else's. We have presented plans to the city where the city has pretty much not given us a yes or no. Their silence was a no because they saw the property as prime for what they wanted to do. So I think running in those arenas, and those are free meetings that you can go to be honest with you. So just look up your local planning meeting within your county or district and attend those meetings. If you connect with a great realtor, they're going to have you run into some of these circles as well. And then there's small little business groups that get together. Look on Facebook and see if there's any small business groups where you can come, and they meet once a month. And they meet over coffee, and they just sit there and they network. They just talk about what they do, what's going on. And that's how you start building your sphere of influence, is what we like to call it in real estate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. I mean, this has been a fabulous talk. You went in depth, you kept it real, you talked about your successes, and you talked about some concerns that you had in the past, and some that, you know, if we don't get a handle on it, we'll have to deal with it in the future. Thank you so much. You talked about wealth building. You talked about how real estate has been your main avenue to wealth, and now you're shifting more towards some of the securities. You gave us some books to look at: Tax-Free Wealth, the Millionaire. I got it here. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Getting Stuff Done, and it's spelled differently. And then another one is The Millionaire Next Door that we recommend. But more importantly, you talked about kingdom building, because it all needs to be for the sake of love, and for the sake of love of our God and our people who God loves. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you too. Zion, y'all call me if y'all have any questions, okay? I think it's the greatest time to get into real estate. Right now, Keller Williams is offering you to get your license for free, where they will pay for your course. The only thing I know, Carlos is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Carlos used to be a realtor when we were in Detroit for Century 21.
Oh, 21. We're going to have to talk offline about that. love it. But yes,
Here, sign right here.
Right.
I used to take the Mike Ferry course back then. I don't know if Ferry, maybe his sons are still around. I don't know, but
Tom
well, that
Ferry,
was some of the best sales training. Woo.
he has one of
Anyway.
the biggest coaching platforms right now, Tom Ferry.
Oh, the son.
Yeah.
So I'm going back. The dad was on VHS tapes. Anyway.
Hey, I remember those VHS tapes. But if anybody is interested, I always highly recommend to any young person, get your real estate license, especially if somebody's willing to pay for it. You just only have to pay to keep your license active. They do allow you to go inactive for a certain period of time and just pay a small minimum fee. But it's the biggest ways that you could have something to protect and be able to buy your own properties. And you can use so like whenever Jason and I go to buy our properties and they give me a commission, I funnel my commission back into our investments.
There you go.
So it's always just being creative about how you're moving and shifting your money around.
What's the age? What's the age? Go ahead, ask. It's better if you
18
ask.
older.
18.
18.
And how long does it take to get your license typically?
It's however long it takes you, because it's an online course. So for me, it took me 2.5 weeks because I was determined. I was like, okay, I know that I need to get this done. And so I went to Mama. I said, Mama, can you please watch my kids for 2.5 weeks for me? This is my plan. So just, and I sat there and I got it done. I went to Keller Williams and I'm like, I'm ready to start now. And they're like, well, first you got to make sure your stuff is active. I said, I literally laid my plan out and I was like, I'm starting today. And they were like, okay. So we can get together. If you're here in Texas, I can easily help you navigate that. But Zion, with you being in Atlanta, I can partner with you with somebody at Keller Williams who can help you get in that course and help set that plan of action in place for you. Because that's one of the beauties of Keller Williams. They love growing people. Gary Keller created a lending company, not to make money because we make no money, but it was just to have as a resource of our agents to give to our clients because we were battling the Zillows and the offer pads. And so he created a business that loses money to help agents. Now, trust me, he gets a tax write-off for that, but still, he ain't losing.
The company is not profitable.
Yeah.
Hey, it's great to
Anyway.
be proud of. That's okay. Hey, look, if they help your path to wealth, then we're okay with giving them a plug right here.
Mhm.
And so you all heard that, right? If you have any interest in getting a real estate license, Keller Williams is out there paying for your real estate license. So there's another path. You keep hearing this over and over in these talks. Vision, plan, do, check, act. Vision, plan, do, check, act. So it's not just the vision, it's the planning. And then you got to do something. And then you check what you did, and then you act again, and it's a cycle. Again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I knew we were going to run over time. I told you yesterday, this is not going to be an hour.
It's all right.
So I appreciate all of our guests that are online. Thank you for staying a little later than we usually do, but they were dropping so much knowledge. We didn't want to cut it off early. So thank you. Thank you.
All right. Let's get a prayer by the youngest young. Come on, Chase, rather. I shouldn't say Chasey.
Dear God, thanks for giving us an informative lesson and teaching us more about real estate. And even though we went over the time limit, thanks for supplying us with knowledge we need for being successful in the future. And indeed, pray.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Racquel and Jason. We love you. We appreciate you. And everybody with Lighthouse, we love you. We hope you have a blessed week. And we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
All right.